little bit of a miss here. Somebody was a little distracted. They lost some time for sure toward their obelisk there. Total unforced error for 60 GT there. Bit of a yikes, but we're only talking about 5 seconds. As long as they don't actually push the obelisk at the start, that's not going to matter.
Yeah, first obelisk grabbed by GV77. You can see that mistake did cost them a few seconds on these alternating obelisks.
More than a few seconds, actually. I mean, we saw the March turn around and then go forward. That's like a full 17-second penalty there.
Only one sentry ward placed so far by GV77 in sort of a wonky spot behind 960's Shrine of War. Now a second ward being placed by GV77. So 2 aggressive wards by GV77 and nothing too crazy.
Yeah, they're looking to get vision for where GT is going. And I think that's really smart. I think they've chosen some lanes here that are very likely to take action. And they also have vision to their Sky Altar from this March. Hello? What are they up to? No way that they get this. Oh, here comes the rally.
You always got to take the shot. You know, you got to take the shot. But that's why you send a very fast cavalry rally, right? You get that cavalry rally into your own obelisk. You switch it to a cavalry garrison captain, and you live to teleport in 2 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. A little bit of a visual weirdness here. Rally's still on my screen, but it is in the structure. They didn't switch to a captain, which presumably they have in there. There it is. Okay, captain's in. And I don't think we're going to see any obelisk shenanigans at the start. No funny business. Just business as usual.
Yeah, actually, no offensive rallies here for GV77. They probably rallied their own obelisks, but no offensive rallies at all. They've just sent everybody in the field. 60 GT does have 2 rallies still marching towards the enemy obelisks. But sort of a conservative start here, I would say, for GV77. Not a lot of action on the outside lanes, and they're gonna butt heads at these desert altars as per usual.
And around here, where the action's gonna be, but I think it's just the altars. Pretty like standard stuff.
Yeah, it looks like 60 GT went defensive on the outside lanes and is choosing to have like heavy pressure on the 2 inside lanes, and then red team matched them essentially.
We see they're balling up here. GV77 in this very tight ball. This is the sort of thing we would expect to see. These are sort of like mini mid fights, the way this is gonna unfold here, and it is already unfolding in the top. The classic marches on the screen here. The likely triple cav, single infantry, single archer setup, where you've got your Zhuge Liang with Hermans, you've got your Skippy Liu Chez, and then the triple cav setup, where some people, looks like they've got reinforcement marches. But I wouldn't expect anything crazy here. Like, what could realistically happen at these desert altars at the start?
Well, the only thing crazy that can happen is that one team wins a mid-fight comfortably and then decides to actually go for the first capture. Because to get the first capture, you can't just win the first fight. You have to actually also leave a bunch of marches there, not sad face them, and commit to defending that building until the first capture is locked in. So that's the only crazy thing that can happen here. But more significant than that is that 60 GT just completely cleaned up this fight at their own desert altar.
Yeah, and they did it the other altar as well. This could end up being a bit of a GT sweep. If those fights are indicative, which I expect they are, this could be rather insane. I mean, honestly, GT equipment and armaments are just such an insane series of tiers above what all other kingdoms have access to. It's honestly like they're playing a different game.
They are, but you know, at the same time, we've also seen 60GT do well in the Grand Prix, right? Not as strong as 1093, but they've competed very well in that when the equipment is all even. And they've just like played so many high-level Arc matches at this point, like Osiris League matches. They go so deep in all these seasons that I think they're also just like very good at Arc of Osiris. So it's just like a deadly, deadly combo.
Yeah, no doubt that they've gotten a lot of practice by virtue of being in all these other tournaments and consistently, I think, maintaining, most likely, a common set of players for the team. Makes a huge difference as well.
And they did add Osno recently. I can't remember exactly when they added Osno. I think Osno is like the #1 most kill points in the game, something like that. But he's a relatively new migrant, and if I'm not wrong, this is the first Osiris League that Osno will be playing with 60GT.
There he is now. A new player to the team, but certainly not an inexperienced player in Arc of Osiris. They were formerly on an Osiris League winning team. So a lot of experienced veterans here from GT.
Yeah, that's the kind of player you want to add to your kingdom, right? It's like most kill points in the game, former Osiris League champion, high performance, great performances in like some of the biggest KVKs in the game's history. It's just like, oh, you want to migrate to our kingdom? Yeah, well, we're fine with that.
We are seeing the Hera garrison here, which, look, if you've got the leadership gear, you got some good armaments for it, that thing can sustain for sure. And it's doing exactly that. It works really well when all the swarmers are lower health, but in this case, they are going to knock down this garrison. 18 seconds left. Will they get the garrison down in time for first capture to be thwarted? I don't think they will. Oh, man. Down to the wire. Wow. Crucial GV77 recovery of that structure. Wow.
Wow. That was super close.
Doesn't get much closer than that.
They heavy committed to it. They got the job done. They're going to be able to get to mid in time. They might be a little bit late, but they're still 4 minutes before mid spawn. So
they aren't going to mid.
Swarmed.
That's not their main plan anyways. Look at the force on the north side of the map.
Yeah.
They're going to take the altar and maybe also the shrine. This is a huge commit to the building plan. I loved it. I love this. I love this. Especially after that first...
And now they're bypassing the desert altar. They're moving away from the desert altar almost as if they want to set up an obelisk attack. I mean, maybe they go to the Shrine of Life, but I mean, why not? If you're going to just attack the desert altar, why don't you do it immediately?
I mean, if they were going to go for the obelisk, like why...
Dude, they're going to the obelisk. They are. They got to be. Oh, this is. Hey, this is the gamble right here. They're going for this gamble. They are trying to steal. They are trying to repeat what they did in January. They wait for the first mid fight, and then they just go charge for the obelisk. No master strategy. They literally just walk there.
There it is.
It's not. It might not be. Boy, this is
dicey. There's too many marches already here.
It's dicey. But they have like a huge numbers advantage, and they're just charging right at it. So, I mean, they can swarm this thing down, right, Chisgo? I mean, they can definitely swarm this obelisk down. A couple of players are reacting. Showtech from GT has turned around. Everyone's reacting by GT now.
Yeah,
but it's a little bit late.
There's no way they get this.
They have to hold it for 2 minutes. The problem for GV is they have to hold this obelisk for 2 minutes.
They have to master strategist more bodies into there if this is going to work. I don't think they have enough.
Yeah, they need to master strategy all these marches that are mid. They have a bunch of marches mid. The mid fight is actually almost even. The numbers mid are almost even right now.
They could theoretically contest middle because of all the people that have left to deal with this obelisk play. I think that when you have two players that are 1 billion power, it's kind of like a cool idea to try to run this play, and you just port them in and then have them swarm everything, right? Dust up activated. I don't know if we should be looking at the middle fight or the obelisk. I think the more important thing is actually the obelisk, technically.
Yeah, the bog downs were cast mid. Mid is underway. Mid is like pretty even, but like this is not a fake. This is not a fake obelisk attack because a bunch of marches from GV that could have gone mid are deciding to go to this obelisk instead.
Yeah.
So they're kind of going for both. They're kind of like halfway going for both.
I don't know how I feel about that.
If they win the mid, I'll be like, oh well, this was cool. Like it worked. Like all good.
If they hold this for a minute and 30 seconds, and they actually can port in these billion power players, they are cooking. Because they're just going to swarm zero everybody over and over.
Yeah, but these cities will stay. These GT cities, they're not going to port out any of these GT cities. These are some of the biggest players in the game. They're very experienced. They can afford the 50 gems that it costs to extinguish your wall. And it's going to just disrupt this obelisk. But it's not going to win them the match necessarily. But they have a minute. You know, they have a minute, and it would certainly help them if they can get Wild Lion and Mr. Hope over here.
Yeah, it would. They have a minute left, and the garrison's still full health. I wonder if the game... Oh, now the garrison is dropping real fast. They've almost just got to tunnel the garrison, honestly. Like, forget the field, bro. Like, you'll deal with the field when you deal with the field. The garrison is about to pop.
Low health. All of Red's field is like low health.
Yeah,
so it's like
not enough.
Yeah, you're right. You do have to just tunnel it.
There it is. There it is. It was a cute play. I don't think they had enough to get it done, and it cost them the arc.
Yeah, they lost mid as well. They lost mid by a lot.
So,
yeah, I think cute play is a good way to describe it.
It
was a fake. It almost would have worked better as a fake. You know,
it was like a 1%. I mean, we just talked about this, right? Like, if you're pretty sure you're not going to win, you playing to win means taking a 1% play like that and hoping it works out, and it didn't. So it is what it is.
Yeah, and they were 30 seconds away. They were 30 seconds away from stealing that obelisk. If Showtech hadn't turned around right away, maybe they get it. If some of the other players from GT hadn't gotten back to the obelisk in time, maybe they get it. They weren't too far away. The thing is, like, GT saw it. Like, as GV77 was going to that pyramid, sort of hiding at the pyramid before they ran in. GT saw it, and so it was just like they had a heads up about what was going to happen.
How many points is Master Strategist?
It's 6 points.
6. That's what I thought.
They could have warped in more.
They should have done it.
Yeah, you're right. They
should
have just warped mid over there.
Correct.
And they would have gotten the obelisk. It would not have necessarily won them the game, but if they had used Master Strategist there, I think that would have been enough to actually capture the obelisk. Yeah.
And if they captured the obelisk, I mean, like, I don't know. I guess it would be pretty disruptive. I mean,
and it won them. It beat GT 5 months ago. So, you know,
it just feels like they sort of half committed to the strategy instead of went to all in, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and that's, listen, like, that happens in like these high level arc matches when like the pressure is on. You just err towards being more conservative, you know?
Yeah, but you know, this is a GT match is not a match for being conservative, I think, is what we've concluded. And they're getting pretty worked right now. Let's see if we look at the buildings. Actually, I take it back. I mean, GV77 does have scoreboard for now. But the arc is in the opposing hands. There's still plenty of time to do something in this game and to win. We sort of talk about it as though there's a finality to GT, and inevitability, and perhaps they have that, but there's still actually plenty of opportunity here for 77 to do something cool.
Yeah, and just a quick look at the total kills versus severely woundeds 20 minutes into this match. It's pretty even. GT has maybe a 10% advantage on kill points at this point. And that's really not that much. That means that GV77 can compete with them. But if you're a little bit behind on fighting, you have to be better on strategy and execution. And so far, it's been 60 GT that has been better on execution because they've cleaned up all of the sort of half-hearted threats from GV.
Yeah, I mean, GT's really not taking risks, and why should they? They just do their thing, play their game. The thing they've been doing. Standard stuff, adjustment here, adjustment there.
Yeah, even their wards from the very start of the game were like very basic, very standard wards in the middle of the map. It gave them the vision they needed to sniff out that attack by GV. And even the Hera garrisons are like a kind of a simple thing, right? It's like just throw anything in there. Get to the location of the fight, throw anything into this garrison, and you know our equipment and our armaments will take care of the rest. And there's something very just very slick about teams that play that way. They play very clean. We keep it simple, we keep it strong, and we get the job done.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the ability to play clean, as you're describing, comes in part from sort of knowing you have an equipment and armament advantage. It means that if you play sort of fair arc, you're gonna win, all other things equal. And I think GT would say probably all other things are not equal. They would probably indicate they feel they've got a skill edge there as well in those situations. So for GT to play very, I think, conventional arc just makes a lot of sense.
They are also conventionally holding this first arc right now. It's sitting at their bottom side obelisk. They're either going to hold it for the max or wait for a good timing. A potential good timing would be, as we watch this Desert Altar go down, as we watch the 60 GT Desert Altar go down to Heavy Swarm, a good timing might be when they take back their own Desert Altar, which is going to be the next thing on their agenda. And at the moment, well, the GT still has occupation lead, but at the moment, the building advantage is actually both teams have one altar from the opposite side.
Looking around the map, a lot of building action here. I do wonder back to that question of when to score the arc, because if you're GT, you just feel like you could win these arcs as many times as you need. If yes, they're still down on the scoreboard. I guess after they score this arc, they'll be up, but like they haven't built a buffer yet that affords them the ability to lose arcs, if that makes sense. I don't know. I would err on the side of scoring, going for the possibility of more arcs, and just consistently delivering on those mid fights. No?
You know, it also feels like GV77 is surprisingly effective on the sides. They've now also taken the Shrine of War from GT. They have pretty good presence at that Shrine of War. And so that's another reason to return this arc, is that GT has seemed to win like the obvious fights. You know, that they won the first fight at the Desert Altar where both teams balled up. They won the mid fight. But when this game gets dynamic, when the map has a bit of a chaotic and flowing nature to it, GV77 is pretty effective in the first 23 minutes of this match. So in that sense, yeah, you just kind of return the arc and make this game even more simple, where it's just like, let's win mid, win the game.
Right. Like create as many situations as possible where it's like our ball versus your ball, because we just win those.
Right. I mean, because, you know, let's see how effective GT is at taking back their Desert Altar on this top side. Because GV has a Hera garrison in there. They have some nice field presence. Mr. Hope's here in the field. So, like, how long is it going to take 60 GT to actually take back this Desert Altar? Are they going to get it on the first attempt? Or is it going to be a little bit messy? Wild Lion here as well in the field for GV. So this is their, like, main lane. This is their strong lane. And they've got the building for now. I'm sure there's a rally coming out, but this is a pretty nice long hold for GV.
Yeah, and we do see the points per minute have swung from GT's favor to 77's favor. So a bit of a flip there in the points per minute. It's a part of the reason why I was suggesting, like, maybe just quickly create as many arcs as possible. Although at this point they do need to like stabilize then score arc. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, they're taking back their buildings. They're going to get back the Shrine of War. There was only a Guan garrison in the Shrine of War. This attack on the Desert Altar looks very good.
And they got
they're taking back their
Shrine of
buildings
Life.
now.
Yeah, this seems like a good time to score the arc, honestly.
Yeah. This is where I would return the arc, right?
Yeah. If you were really an Oracle, you'd have scored it. In fact, maybe a minute or two ago, right? Because there's going to be an opportunity here if they score the arc now for 77 to clap back on the buildings, and then it's sort of this contentious at the building's end in the middle. But look at this lead. 77's really pulled ahead nicely for themselves with that lead. Points per minute now back down to 440 for 77 to the 250 of GT.
Yeah, and you know, if you look at the Sky Altar on the top side, there's a Seawheel rally coming to it. There's no field for either team. It's literally just like, rally against garrison. And these are these like key moments, right? Where it's like, is that a full garrison? Is that a full rally? And those things like really matter in these really close matches. Like, because the field can't be everywhere, and you just get a lot of value if you actually fill up your buildings.
Oh, they're popping in. Good save by GT there, although here comes the rally. The arc did get scored, so I think GT capping it in before time means that they do feel like they want to go for more arcs, and they're leaving the door open for that third arc opportunity, which I think makes a lot of sense.
Definitely, and it was good timing. It was good timing by GT. Made a lot of sense, as we were talking about. And GT is, you know, they're defending. Well, they actually did lose that Shrine of Life, and they're also making a very good attack on the Sky Altar on that top side.
Yeah, really strong attack on that Sky Altar with reinforcements coming to support it. We do see the Eleanor garrison here, which is very popular now in Arc.
Yeah, it's great. Everybody has 3 cavalry marches out in the field, so you know, it's natural to be able to fill this Eleanor with a lot of your marches.
There's just not enough here, though.
Well. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting report, actually, I think, to look at. Just because like there was like some pretty like healthy swarm there. The rally traded positively, 1.6 million to 2.3. Overall battle data was a win for the attack, but it was like 280k severely wounded to 370k severely wounded. So I would say that Eleanor held up all right.
The 370k was
Eleanor. Yeah. So I mean, it lost, but it lost to a swarm and a full rally.
Yeah, it was pretty outnumbered.
Yeah, to me that's respectable. I don't know. Maybe you're a Gorgo garrison, Chiz, so you have like higher standards
for a swarm situation.
Yeah, us Cav garrisons, we just want like the even trade against the swarm.
I mean, you know, I only expect to do well when I can actually put an Attila behind there. So in Arc, you know, I don't have these big Gorgo expectations like I do in KVK.
Right.
Here we go, swarms on this desert altar. Very close. GT could save this, and they are keeping that thing alive. I think they've bought themselves enough time here to keep this thing alive. This is going to be really big if 77 can't flip this, because the scoreboard is in favor of GT, both from a points per minute standpoint and from a total score. So GT is looking pretty good here.
Well, you know, though, Wild Lion and Mr. Hope are going to get their marches back real quick. They're sad facing right now. They're going to get those marches back, and they're going to have them mid in time. Whereas you're about to see 60 GT just like run home as fast as they possibly can. You know, ARC carriers try to run fast. These 60 GT marches are running as fast as they can to get home, refresh, and get to mid on time. Because Mr. Hope and Wild Lion are going to beat them there.
There's only, well, there's still plenty of time though. On the temple, it says 4:22. So if the temple time is right, there's still a ton of time to get to middle. I think everybody gets there on time. What I think is
my
interesting.
timer is different. My timer is definitely different. It's 4 minutes for me, but the time on the top is like way lower, right?
I see
on the top is like
3:35 on the left and 4:03 on the temple.
yeah. I mean, it's the top left is definitely lower.
Which one is right? Guess we'll find out. I think it's the temple time that's accurate.
Okay.
But I don't actually know. So we'll see. We'll see. We do see all these marches on their way over. I mean, should 77 have moved in more, given that they're getting here first? I'm not so sure.
I think it's too early. I think it's way too early. Like if you were to move in now, then 60 GT would be able to get back for like the second arc fight. You know, the rebound arc fight. So I think you just have to take the temple. If I were GV77, I would have perhaps postured to the GT side of the temple, because you certainly have to the death at this point. This is a great time to cast to the death, and you love to cast to the death when the enemy is like literally charging right into you. So I would have maybe been a little bit more aggressive here and taken their temple, but their ball's really not that much bigger than 60 GT, so they're just playing it relatively safe. And everyone has their buildings back. Both teams have all their buildings back. It was a chaotic phase there, but everyone has gotten back what they needed and gotten to arc on time. So pretty good execution by both teams, really.
Yeah, I mean, let's see where the chat's at. Put a 1 in the chat if you think GT is going to win this mid-brawl. Put a 2 in the chat if you think 77 is going to win this mid-brawl.
This is where I go full screen on the chat because I don't want to get spoiled on anything during this match. Although at this point, none of us know what's going to happen in this mid fight.
No one knows. I think it is pretty safe to assume that GT is likely to win, given how those first fights went. And we do see they've even got ranged units plinking away here.
They have the new ranged units too, right? Like they don't have the Margaret. They've got the new guy.
Oh yeah, they're not fooling around, man.
The ranged march now redirecting to get better vision, to get more value.
It's just bullying them off the temple. Kind of hilarious.
It's also a bait, right? It's like if you see the ranged march there, you're like, can I please run across this field right now and attack the range march? Please, I mean, please let me do that.
Literally, this one march is controlling with the entire position of the enemy team. It's actually insane.
I'll also note that there is nobody on the sides. Like, there is nothing happening on the sides at all. There are like 5 or 6 marches total between both teams on the sides. Everyone is mid. Absolutely everyone is gearing up for this second mid fight.
Bog down. Both teams. Popular choice. To the death. Both teams. All right. This is the mirror. Who's it going to be?
This is why you build all those accounts. This is why you get all those armaments. You get all that equipment. You get all that tier 5 for this moment when you are fighting with your team, trying to do as much burst damage as you possibly can to an enemy deep in the Osiris League.
We look for the sad faces, and there are some GT sad faces going back too. I'm inclined to say there's more 77 sad faces.
It's close though.
It's not a landslide.
No.
Yet.
And GV got the first arc. Corgi grabbed that first arc, brought the arc to their side, which is all a nice bonus. But now that the sad faces are starting to rack up,
it sure
GV77.
is looking that way.
Yeah.
The train has left the station. Choo choo. GT takes the arc, they bring it home, and that's a wrap for the mid fight.
Oof, man, they just hit so hard. They hit so freaking hard.
It's like I said, like when you know you can do that over and over, just create that situation as often as possible and run those arcs, you know?
I mean, it's the template that world champion Osiris League teams have been doing for a long time. I mean, this is what OV did. OV won mid. They were just a mid team, and they were just an absolute dynasty in the early days of Osiris League. And we're seeing the same thing from 60 GT now, where they're just an absolute dynasty by winning these mid fights.
Yeah.
And it's actually TC, one of their shot callers, who has this arc on the jump.
Yeah, I mean, that was a pretty resounding victory right there.
I can't complain about what GV77 did there. They disrupted the approach a little bit. I kind of I think the angle was cool. They had good movement, the coordinated movement, and the skills were good. You know, the skills were good from GV77. They had all their people there. They did what they could.
I mean, if there's a gameplay diff, it's like very hard to spectate what that diff is. Like maybe 77 was sad facing marches instead of leaving them low, or like it's very hard to say. But what I will add here is that I think the new dot mode makes it so that the skill diff for a mid fight is probably not as high as it once was.
I agree. Yep.
It's a lot easier to be decent at playing a mid brawl now. And so if there's not a huge skill diff, then all the other things that give you a nice edge there.
Yeah, I think there can be some like focusing, right? Like maybe telling people to focus on like, you know, target the top side of the ball, target the bottom side of the ball, target the front of the ball. You're getting everyone to sort of attack in the same area of that enemy ball. I wonder if there's some of those sort of calls being made on some of these voice chats. These top teams are always iterating on how they can play better, how they can have an edge over their opponents. And if you assume everyone is in dot mode, then you can sort of go from there and maybe do a little bit of focus firing, even though you can't actually see a single friggin' portrait of anybody.
Yeah, you know, it's funny, like, kingdoms are in leagues based on kingdom age, but it's almost like you need leagues based on, like, age plus KVK win numbers. Like, try to balance the power, because the power of those GT marches is just insane.
Yeah, and you know, for GV77, this is their second season in the realm of Anubis. They are former realm champions of Bastet, and I think they might have also won Sobek. I'm not sure, but they won Bastet in the past. They actually only finished, they lost in the quarterfinals of Anubis last season. They lost to Evil Empire. And now they made it to the semifinals this year. And honestly, to me, this is like a pretty good performance from GV77. Like, their side play has been quite good so far. I mean, we've got 23 minutes left. It's going to be great to see if they can continue to put in work. We're seeing again at this Desert Altar that Wild Lion and Mr. Hope are both sending their marches forward right now. So they're putting in work, and actually a Wild Lion rally on the way to this Desert Altar. So a pretty good performance by GV77 all in all. And you almost wish they had fully committed to that Obelisk fight to just make this game even more chaotic and actually put 60 GT in a bit of discomfort.
Yeah, I think the chaos of the sorts of questions that are like, hey, do you know how to react to this, is a good kind of chaos for them to create. That said, GT is pretty experienced. They're gonna probably have an appropriate response to just about any kind of play you could cook up here. I mean, what kind of play could we cook up? We're doing it on the fly, but like, what could you come up with to surprise GT? I can't think of anything that would really surprise them.
I think what you do is you take one of these altars and then you redirect marches from another lane to help you defend it, and then you sort of like reject their take back attempt. Like, instead of just letting GT take back all these buildings, you add to your defense and then like further disrupt them by like making them fail on their take back attempt.
They just put a huge amount of troops in places they're not expecting them to be, sort of.
Right. I mean, like, this take back of the Sky Altar is pretty trivial, right? It was just the existing defenders and GT just took it back. But you know, GV77 is working on the Desert Altar attack. They're working on taking GT's Desert Altar. And what if you just have all of the outside lane players walk over and help defend that Desert Altar? And you know, at the same time, you do have Master Strategy in your back pocket, so maybe you win the last arc. Maybe you win the last arc quickly, and try to warp it back home. Although, you know, GT is actually defending well here. This was a very serious attack by GV77, and GT is actually just dealing with it.
They have a Jan Zizka garrison here. Kind of cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Very interesting. I wonder if it's the backup or if it's...
That's what I'm saying. Like, why... If they use Jan Zizka, it must be that they think it's better than Eleanor. I'm not sure why they would use it otherwise, and I'd be shocked.
They're in the off season, right? So like maybe they're just like gonna build Eleanor in Mightiest Governor. Like they're gonna get those free Eleanor heads in Mightiest Governor.
They even have the Joan as a captain right now. That's a little sus. Maybe
well, she looks like Eleanor.
Maybe there was a little backup captain situation there.
Yeah, because this has been the Hera. This has been a Hera garrison for most of the match. So Jan was probably just the backup.
Yeah, that sounds right.
You know, we were talking about how long the fights took in the Realm of Sobek match that we cast earlier, but how long are these fights taking? Like, these altars are under contention for like 2-3 minutes at a time.
When the damage is higher, it's easier to take buildings, actually, and mid fights are faster. It's like harder to get back to a mid fight and be relevant. So you would actually think in this league that the building game would be more of a thing, relatively speaking. Just because, like, if the DPS is higher and walking from cities to reinforce is a big part of it, right? Like, you're definitely advantaged to press buildings.
Absolutely. And I think the fact that some of these fights are taking so long shows how close a lot of these mid fights are, or how close a lot of these side fights are.
Okay, so here's a question. Could you check the scoreboard real quick for some of the other matches going on right now? Chat is saying there's something really big happening in the 1188. And I think, are they fighting 93?
They're fighting 93. Yep.
It might be worth just a scoreboard check over here on that one, because
take a look.
apparently that's about to be a huge upset. Potentially, but I don't know what the score is. But Chad's talking about it like they are smacking their lips over the Oryx they're about to pull down. So let's see if we can just get a little score update as we go here on this. And it does look like GT scored the arc very early, which I applaud. I think that is totally the right play for them. After, I mean,
well, so here's the thing. On my, it looks like 93T is up 2,500 points actually.
Oh.
Now I don't know what the arc. I'll load it in and see where the arc is at. But
yeah. Maybe they feel
the arc.
Yeah. If 1188 has the arc, but 93 is up. 88 has the arc. Chat says. Okay.
Yep. They're holding the arc. Yep.
Okay.
88's holding the arcs right now.
That's going to be one of those down to the wire matches. Yep. Appreciate you going and checking out the scoreboard there.
It's the 15 UTC time period. Somebody in Discord, the RLK Discord earlier was like asking me what match I was casting. It wasn't theirs. They were like, "Oh, that's too bad." We were not able to cast everything because everything is happening right now.
I love 15 UTC. I'm much more awake for 15 UTC than I am 13. 13 UTC is like, hey, it's the morning. I just rolled out of bed, you know, had some breakfast, but like not ready to take the day yet. But 15 UTC, hey, we're cooking. My most productive time of the day. And GT has been pretty dang productive on these arcs. They're coming back for this next one. And, you know,
to see. I'm seeing Ashers and Boudikas from 6. Game. I thought that was because of the March speed, just to get to the first fights early. But still seeing some Boudikas out here, and Asher